Welcome to episode 7 of Pro Audio Deal or Disaster, the series where we look at Facebook Marketplace listings and talk about the gear, talk about the asking prices, and share stories.
Welcome to Storytellers.
About our experiences with this stuff in the past. I've been really enjoying reading your responses on these videos and learning from your stories too, so definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. Support these videos by becoming a member either here or on Patreon, or using the affiliate links or the thanks button just below this video. I appreciate all your support. First up, we've got this listing out of Colorado Springs for $7,200, and this system is impressive. I'll read through the listing here real quick. I have a complete live sound system that includes mains, subs, monitors, racks, amps, mixing boards, mics, DIs, stands, and all the cables. The mains and monitors are all Bose 802 1 and 2 series pan-array passive loudspeakers, and he does have the pair of a pair of the active equalizers, the processors that you need to run these without blowing them to bits or having them sound like complete garbage. The amps are Crown XLS high density 2500 and 1000. We use this system in our festival event business to fill parks, some the size of America the Beautiful in Colorado Springs. Now that's a 17-acre park. It's huge.
They say huge.
Huge is right.
I would really doubt that this selection of equipment here covered that in its entirety, but we'll move on. There's everything you would need, and you don't see it, I've probably got it. If you don't see it, I've probably got it. I didn't list the boards. I've got 3. So there's a Soundcraft digital mixer, a Behringer passive, and an older Yamaha. So just like a regular Behringer mixer, unknown on the Yamaha. Oh, Yamaha powered, so maybe like a stage pass kind of thing. Also, there are many DIs and all the cables, Speak-On, TR, TRS, XLR, mics, stands, and racks. PM me your email. I can send you the PDF. Okay, so he's got a full PDF price list. He's willing to talk and take a deal, make an offer. This equipment is for sale as an entire turnkey system or in parts. And then he goes on to list some of it, not all of it here. And if I add up all of what he's listed here, we're up to about $4,200. So another $3,000 or so is being attributed to the mixers, the accessories, the microphones. Here's the selection of microphones. 1 pair of matching 58s, it looks like, and then an 815, 57, and Beta Green. This would have been from the early mid-90s, at least from this angle. That looks like a Shure Beta Green to me. And I didn't hate that line of microphones. I didn't use them that often, once or twice. I remember somebody bringing them or them showing up for whatever reason. They always seem to do okay. Ooh, a harp mic, very interesting. Everybody always likes to have those. Of course, if you don't have a harp player, I in all the years of providing microphones as a sound system provider, I never had to provide one of these. Anybody that needs one brings their own, and it's kind of a useless thing to own as a sound system provider, at least in my opinion, unless you have a singer or somebody that's using it as an effect. And we're back here to the start. So yeah, there's a total of 12 of these pan-array speakers, and in this configuration here that we're looking at, they're using the lids to prop them up as monitors. Now, some of the Bose, the 402s, had a little stick you could get that would screw in the back and act as like a tilt back leg, but they're just using the lids, which I've not seen done before, but hey, if that works, I would be amazed if they're able to hear these, because these are, these are a whole pile of small drivers in here, and these are pointed at their knees. At best, at their knees, realistically shins in a lot of cases. So that's just something to consider, and something I've seen a ton over the years, especially in systems like this, and then people wonder why they're struggling or fighting gain before feedback, and not able to hear the monitors, so they're turning everything up, and a lot of times they just aren't pointing the monitors at their ears. It's really remarkably stupid and simple, but things like guitar amps, same thing here. They've got these tiny little guitar amps, Roland Cube, no problem, but it's pointed at your ankles, so that's going to be considerably louder for this guy than it needs to be, just so he can hear it up here. And meanwhile, if somebody sat out here, they're getting a face full of this thing, which has, no bottom end and just a whole lot of, even in a situation like this where you've got, questionable PA system, you can do stuff to help yourself out and not make it a struggle or worse than it already needs to be. These monitors, whether or not you like them or not, as monitors, you at least got to point them at your ears, point them at the people that need to hear them, and you will do much better. Pedal steel guy down here, the pedal steel guys are always the smart guys in the band. If you ever have a band pull up with a pedal steel, talk to that guy, because he probably knows what the hell's going on. You can see back here, he's got his amp on a kickback stand. It's pointed comfortably at the part of his body that does the hearing, which is his head, and he's probably got that set considerably lower in volume than these amps here that are just on the floor screaming away, struggling to get over the din of whatever drum kit might be back here. So yeah, pedal steel guys always get this right. They're usually pretty smart people, and this is a very good illustration of that. So yeah, Bose Panerai 802 collection more than anything. And then of course, ratchet strapped on top of the DJ riser stands to the custom subs, custom being the brand, custom with a K, not custom like they built them custom for this purpose. These are very inexpensive custom subs, and you'll notice here, if you look closely in the picture, that they have left them on the wheels. So this is a custom sub, which is not a heavy sub. These are very light. I think they're a single 12 on wheels with a janky DJ riser with more dust than structural integrity. And then that is, I can't tell if that's a ratchet strap or I think that's just a tie down strap. Although, no, I can't tell. The ratchet could be underneath. I guess it wraps all the way under, but they've ratchet strapped these poor plastic boxes down to this custom sub and left the whole thing on wheels, undoubtedly top heavy. Yeah, this is just fantastic. What a sound system. Bose Panerai, there's a whole stack of them. Have you ever used these? There's the processors that goes with the Bose. There's one of them. There's the other. Couple of the amps. Furman. DI boxes. Ooh, a cable tester that I've not seen before. Don't get that every day. I thought I'd pretty much seen all the cable testers out there, but I have not used or seen one of these. Not familiar with that brand at all. Moving on. Up next, I think this one is potentially a really good deal for somebody. So this is for a set of 2 of these racks. We're only looking at one of them, so presumably the other one is set up in an identical manner. And what it includes is 2 custom shock mount Indie Case 16 space amp racks with 4 of the 9000 HD and 2 12,000 HD each, complete with power distro panel. You can see that down at the bottom. 3U W1 breakout panel shown, not included. So this panel here would be the W1 3U panel. So this is not included, but it comes with the I/O panel and the power distro. So this panel here comes with the rack, just not this one. Presumably they're going to sell this with the snake that goes with it, which makes sense. Wired for dual single phase L1430 or 3-phase L2130 here. So there's the incoming. There's courtesy power on the front. Breakers, great match for the VT4887 speakers. Okay, yeah, I saw these. They've got a set of 4887 speakers for sale as well. And they've lowered the price on these as well. So 20 grand for 19 of these with caster boards and covers. So let me know what you think of that. That comes with cabling and all loomed up and ready to go as well. I hadn't looked at this one already, but if you just do the quick math on just the amps alone, we can look at sold amps on eBay, and they go for $3,500 for the 1200 HD, or for the 12,000 HD. I don't know if I said 1200 before. Sorry, it's 12,000 HD, and those can be had for $3,500 or so, give or take shipping. And the 9000s go for about $2,000 a piece regularly. So in each rack, you're looking at 4 of the 9000s. That comes to $8,000 at $2K a pop. And then 2 of the 12,000s, that brings us to $7,000 on those at $3,500 each. So that's $15,000 just in amps per rack. And then the distro, the I/O panels, the racks themselves, which are really nice, hinged, the doors, hide away alongside of the amp so you don't have to go looking for somewhere to put all your case lids during the gig. These are really nice racks. I don't know if they're going to include any of the networking stuff, but that's cheap enough to replicate for a setup like this. I don't know if he's throwing the fans in, but again, that's not a very hard thing to replicate, and the rear door also hides into the rack. They're deep, but the convenience of having, all of this in one where you can just pop the lids and stow them, plug in, and in this case, fly your array with looms that are set up to come right out of here. So yeah, just in the amplifiers alone, my math is $15,000 per rack, and they're asking $20,000 for the 2 racks complete. So if anybody needs this, very cool. Like I think this could be a really good deal if anybody is in the market for this kind of amp setup. Let me know what you think, though. I'd love to hear your opinions on this and the VerTec array that they have listed as well. What do you think of that for the money? And it wouldn't be an episode of Deal or Disaster without a big old analog mixer. This time we've got a GB8. This is a 48 channel frame and a nice road case. Finally one in a road case. It seems like every one of these large frame consoles I've come across lately has been just loose. So this one is in the case, undoubtedly very, very heavy. It doesn't look like they have any sort of stand for it, but they do have a whole bunch of wiring already set up with the disconnect. So that's nice if you want to go with an analog snake solution. This is a pretty long tail on this, which can be great. If you want to have a big rolling rack of outboard gear, you'd be surprised how quickly you could eat up, 10 feet of cable doesn't get you very far, let me put it that way. So they've got everything pre-wired to a mass connector down there. Really decent looking quality case, certainly heavy duty. You kind of have to have a big thick case for these things because they weigh a ton. If you put them into a lightweight flimsy case, it just wouldn't be able to handle the heft. And other than a little bit of dust, this thing looks clean. And these were decent enough mixers. I don't know, let me know in the comments if you have any stories or thoughts on the GB8. I never really used this line of mixer personally, maybe once or twice. There may have been a large church that had one of these that I worked on a time or two, but this is not one that was popular with anybody that I worked with anyway. So if you've got experience or time behind one of these, let us know what you think and what do they sound like. Are they easy to get working on? Or they, the layout is obviously pretty standard Soundcraft stuff. And again, like we looked at last week with the Yamaha mixer, this is a fairly pedestrian large frame console. By today's standards, this is only 48 channels, and it's 48 mono channels, and then you get some more stereo channels in addition to that here in the blue. I don't know why the screen capture is not picking up my mouse. I've got to work on that for next week because this is really annoying. But 48 mono channels, and you really only get a little bit of EQ on those channels, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aux sends. So not a terrifically in-depth or complex routing scheme here. This is just a basic 48 channel console. So yeah, the channel strips are fairly typical. There's nothing super exciting going on. And this console does have a matrix section as well, where you can send your mix buses out to a matrix output. So for driving a more complex PA system at the time, this would have been very useful, but on a individual channel level, it's a pretty basic console and pretty small. It's not very deep. This would have been fairly easy to wrangle around, especially in a nice case. And if you had a tilt stand, this would be no problem at all to pop up and throw that mass connector onto whatever outboard rack you have, and you'd be up and running in a matter of minutes. So I do remember vividly mixing on one of the contemporary mixers to the GB8, the smaller LX7 II or II. I guess that's the LX7 II. These were popular in smaller churches at the time, and I remember working at one church occasionally that had one of these, and I can't remember if those are, the mute buttons. I remember these, if you unmuted stuff too fast, like if you, instead of just lightly unmuting the button, if you press down and then released your finger too fast, or like swiped your finger away, the mute button, the red button, would shoot out of the console from the spring, and it'd land on the floor. I don't know, maybe that wasn't something that happened to all of these, but I remember that very well from the one that I had experience with regularly. Yeah, I just never loved these. They were fine, about the same as mixing on a Mackie, 24.4. They get the job done. There's nothing crazy interesting about them. But yeah, I definitely remember these more than the GB8, and they were out around the same time, just kind of in a slightly different price point. So yeah, GB8. Let me know if you've got any experience with one of these. From what I vaguely remember having used one, no complaints, nothing to write home about. I dig the VU meters. I think those are LED. It'd be cooler if they were actual VU meters. But yeah, share your thoughts on the Soundcraft GB8, and what kind of configuration did you use one in, if you did. And here we've got one that I would really like to hear your opinions on, because this is kind of an unusual listing, but I bet some of you are going to know more about this than me. So let's read through it. Macaulay 18-inch subs in homemade JBL copy boxes. More about that in a second. All 4 boxes for $2,000. And then on the price, he's got it listed as $2,000. Cross that out, $250. So what do we got going on there? Basically, $250 per speaker, and the cabinets are free. That's the opening line. So $2,000 for all 4. He's doing some gymnastics here with the math to make this sound like a deal, but I don't believe it is. Let's keep reading. 4 cabinets with 2 18s in each cab. Okay. 8 total speakers in 4 matching boxes. He is really going around the world trying to say this in as many ways as possible. Boxes are 13-ply Baltic birch homemade copies of older JBL boxes, 4719, I think. Very tough, very durable. I don't know, these look pretty wide for a JBL 4719. I don't know, the photos could be just misleading though, but, and I'm going based off the fact that there's a pair of 722s sitting on top of these. Those don't look like 4719 cabinets to me, but maybe the photo's just playing tricks, or maybe there's something else going on here that I'm not seeing. Let's continue though. The speakers are Macaulay 18-inch model 6174. You can buy those on eBay for about $200 a piece, used in like great condition. These have double stacked magnets with high excursion ability. These are big boy toys, and you must have real amplifiers to drive them. Yes, they are passive like real bands use on tour. Selling because I can't lift them anymore. I am old now. They are heavy. Bring a trailer. They are on wheels. 6 handles and wheels make them actually rather mobile. So he's selling them because he's old and he can't move them anymore, but actually they're really mobile. Also have 1 spare Macaulay 6174 basket, so you get a spare basket, no magnet. These are heavier than JBL 728 boxes. Yeah, that's no joke at all. The 722s are not for sale. Please ask useful questions. If you ask if still available, you will be ignored. I appreciate that. What do you think? Do you think it's worth it for the homebrew boxes and casters and all that kind of stuff, or would you be better off just finding some used 728s or something similar that you actually know what they are and what's in them and what they weigh and all the rest of that kind of stuff? I would be very interested, because there's definitely a market for this stuff. You know, somebody commented on the last video about the carpet covered boxes and said, you know, they think that system would be fine starting out and carpet cover's no big deal. And I totally agree in certain situations. I didn't put that in the last video in an attempt to, you know, say that that gear was no good or wasn't useful. It's more of just starting the conversation of what kind of gigs are you doing, and, you know, getting everybody talking about what they think is possible and what's acceptable, depending on where you are in the industry and what type of gigs you're doing, because everybody does different stuff, and just because a system's right for one type of event or sound system use does not mean that it's going to be everybody's choice. So that's the whole point of the series, to get the discussion started, because I love hearing your stories. It's amazing. I'll post something like this about some copied Macaulay boxes, and I bet you somebody out there knows a ton about these and could probably make a whole video about them themselves. So I really appreciate your participating and leaving that kind of stuff in the comments, because it's a huge resource and it's fun to learn. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time.